Europe, early 1600s. A land of kings, empires, and ancient rivalries. A land divided by faith, Catholic against Protestant. A land bruised by centuries of political tension. For decades, these tensions simmered quietly until one moment, one act of fury, exploded into one of the deadliest conflicts in European history. This is the story of a war that lasted a generation. A war that killed millions. A war that turned cities to ash. A war that reshaped the modern world. This is the 30 Years' War, Europe's Cataclysm.
Prague Castle, May 23, 1618. Inside a tall stone chamber, Protestant nobles from Bohemia march in, demanding answers from the emperor's Catholic officials. For years, Emperor Ferdinand II broke promises, restricting Protestant worship, removing their leaders, seizing churches. The nobles argue, voices rise. The tension in the room feels like dry wood waiting for a flame.
Then, an explosion of rage. The nobles grab two imperial governors and throw them out the castle window. A 70-foot drop. The defenestration of Prague. Miraculously, the men survive, but the peace of Europe does not. Bohemia revolts. The 30 Years' War has begun.
The Bohemian rebels elect Frederick V, the young Protestant prince, as their new king. He becomes known as the Winter King, a king whose reign would not survive the winter. The emperor rallies Catholic armies from Spain and Bavaria. They march into Bohemia with overwhelming force.
In November 1620, on a cold hillside outside Prague, the armies clash in the Battle of White Mountain. The battle lasts barely an hour. The rebels are crushed. Prague falls. Executions fill the public square. Nobles flee. Bohemian Protestants lose everything.
Europe watches, and the message is clear. Defy the emperor and be destroyed. But the emperor's victory only ignites more fear. And Germany, a patchwork of hundreds of states, begins to unravel. Protestant princes fear the emperor's growing power. Catholic princes, meanwhile, seek favor from the throne. Old rivalries flare into open war. Two generals rise to prominence. Johann Circulus von Tilly, leader of the Catholic League, and Albrecht von Wallenstein, commander of the emperor's new army, a brilliant, ruthless strategist who builds one of the largest mercenary forces in Europe. Their armies sweep through German lands like storms. In 1631, the horror reaches its peak at Magdeburg. Imperial forces storm the city. Flames engulf houses. Soldiers massacre civilians. The once great city is reduced to ash. Of 30,000 inhabitants, only a few thousand survive. Magdeburg becomes a symbol of unimaginable destruction. The war is no longer about religion, it is about survival.
Across the Baltic Sea, a new figure steps onto the stage. King Gustavus Adolphus of Sweden, the Lion of the North. He is brilliant, charismatic, and deeply religious. And he arrives with a modern, disciplined army. Sweden enters the war to defend Protestantism and to expand its influence. Gustavus achieves stunning victories. Breitenfeld, where he crushes Tilly, and Rheindem-Lech, where his tactics overwhelm seasoned imperial forces. German princes rally around him.
For the first time, Protestants have hope. But hope is fragile.
In 1632, at the Battle of Lutzen, Gustavus leads his troops into thick fog and musket smoke. Amid the chaos, the king becomes separated from his guard. Gunshots. Silence. A riderless horse returns to the Swedish lines. Gustavus Adolphus is dead. The Lion of the North has fallen. Sweden continues the fight, but without its brilliant leader, the momentum slows.
The emperor seems poised for victory. He dismisses Wallenstein, whose growing power threatens him. Shortly after, Wallenstein is assassinated, stabbed in a dark room by men once loyal to him. But even with Wallenstein gone, the emperor cannot secure peace.
Because in 1635, a shocking twist changes everything. France, a Catholic nation, enters the war on the Protestant side. Not for religion, but to stop the Habsburg dynasty from dominating Europe. Cardinal Richelieu's the mastermind of French politics makes a cold calculation. Better to support Protestant enemies than let Catholic rivals rule Europe.
The 30 Years' War becomes a European-wide conflict. France versus Spain, France versus the Emperor, Sweden versus the Empire, German states fighting German states. The war is now about power, not faith.
As armies march back and forth, cities are looted again and again. Villages starve, fields turn to wastelands. Diseases spread like wildfire. Whole regions lose half their population. Some lose more. The war drags on endlessly. No one can win. No one can surrender. Armies become roaming predators, living off whatever they can steal. Civilians flee into forests or die beside their burned homes. Contemporary writers describe Germany as a desert of ashes. This is total war, long before the term existed. By now, the soldiers are exhausted. The kings are bankrupt. The people are broken. The war must end. But how? Finally, diplomats gather in the towns of Münster and Osnabrück. Dozens of European states send representatives. Catholics negotiate in one city, Protestants in another. It is the first major international peace conference in European history. But even here, in halls meant for peace, arguments erupt constantly. Old wounds reopen, new demands appear. Years pass, thousands more die while diplomats debate borders and privileges. But slowly, painfully, a compromise takes shape. On October 24th, 1648, after 30 years of chaos, the treaties are signed. The Peace of Westphalia ends the 30 Years' War. Its consequences reshape Europe. German states gain sovereignty. France rises as a great power. Sweden secures control of the Baltic. Spain enters decline. Religious freedom expands. No empire will ever again dominate Central Europe. More importantly, a new idea enters world politics. No country may interfere in the internal affairs of another. This idea, sovereignty, becomes the foundation of the modern international system. The war began with men thrown out of a window and ended by reshaping the world. On to the epilogue, ashes and rebirth. When the war ended, Europe was exhausted. Millions were dead, countless villages erased, families scattered. But from the ashes, a new order emerged. The 30 Years' War taught Europe lessons written in fire. That no faith can be forced by sword. That no empire can rule a continent. That peace is built not by victory, but by negotiation. The war left scars, but also foundations. Foundations for diplomacy, for sovereignty, for a new Europe. This was the darkest war of its age, but it shaped the world we live in today.
Thank you for watching Timeless Whispers. If you want more untold stories from history, don't forget to subscribe and let the past speak again.